All right. Hello. It has been a while since I've made an actual, video about things, but this has been teased a bit on my Discord. This is what you're looking at right now is going to be somewhat familiar and also unfamiliar at the same time. This is right here a character sheet for my system I'm currently working on. Um, and I'm just going to kind of go over a little bit of this at the moment because we are still in the very early stages. This character sheet's not going to be, it's probably not going to be what it looks like in the end. Things will change because, yeah, we've currently only had one playtest of this system. I'm about to do another one with a second group tomorrow. But here we got this playtest, the playtest character sheet for the system I'm currently working on. This system works very similar to D&D. It is still a D20 system. So that uses your D20 for most of your main rolls. It has, and the class levels have 20 levels in them, but it also has its differences. So we're going to go over just kind of the things that make this different, and let's just get right into it. It's probably one of the first things you notice. I mean, there's a lot of stuff up here, but the first thing I'm going to go with is the stats. So D&D, you have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. This game has different stats, as we can see over here. We have wrath, justice, pride, hope, gluttony, temperance, greed, charity, sloth, prudence, envy, faith, and lust, fortitude. So, right away, you can probably notice the stats in this game are the 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues. That doesn't mean there's 14 stats, that means there are 7 stats, and each stat is both a sin and a virtue. Part of the reason why it's 2 is there's also partial things for when you're building a character in this, you're going to choose which of the 2 is more important for your character on each stat, between the sin and the virtue. And depending on that choice is going to, once you've chosen all of those, that's going to determine part of your character's alignment. But let's go ahead and go over what each of these stats are. So, Wrath, Justice, and the skills you can see right next to it. Wrath, Justice skills are athletics, combat, intimidation, strength, and stress. Wrath, Justice is kind of like is used for your strength-based weapons and strength-based checks. Pride, Hope carries in determine, dexterity, grapple, and persuasion. Your Pride, Hope is kind of like much more dexterous stats, and your Pride, Hope would also determine your character's dodge, which is kind of like your AC in D&D. We'll go over that when we get to that section. Gluttony, Temperance has health, medicine, and nature. This is the stat that is going to determine your character's health bonus that you're going to have. Then there's Greed, Charity, which uses perception, sleight of hand, stealth, and wisdom. Then there's Sloth, Prudence, which is diplomacy, history, intelligence, magic, and vehicle. So Sloth, Prudence is much more of your intelligence based around checks. Then there's Envy, Faith, which has acrobatics, animal handling, investigation, luck, and religion. This is kind of like a mixture of a bunch of different skills kind of put together. Then there's Lust, Fortitude, which is charisma, charm, corruption, deception, and performance. So those are your 7 stats that you have in this game, that are in this game. Really, you can put your focus wherever you want, but for most classes, it's pretty free form. So, like, at least for this, from the things I can say, spellcasters in this are very different from what you'd recognize in D&D. One of the things they get to do, which is really nice, is they can use any stat of their choice for their spell casting as their focus, and the spells that they would know is not bound to the class's spell list. It is instead bound to what are called jurisdictions, or kind of like what you would say in D&D is your spell school. It's bound to the jurisdictions, and you get all the spells from your jurisdiction that you have the tier of casting. We'll kind of go more into that when we get to the actual spell page. But let's just go right from here. So you can see attacks and spell casting. This works just like D&D. It shows it there. There's equipment, which is just a section for all of your equipment, and coins. So you can, instead of all these different type of coin types, it's just coins. Then here's a handful of passive skills, which might become possibly things that are more likely to be used in just passively. So like perception, persuasion, luck, determine, intelligence, and charm. There's also your current conditions. So you yourself can also keep track of the conditions your character is currently under, if they have multiple, if they don't, or they don't have any. We have other proficiencies in languages, which same as D&D. You put your proficiency, like your armor and weapon proficiencies, um, and your languages you do know, which we're still working on that currently. Right, here's the thing that won't be used by everyone: class, resource, and human factor. So a little bit of a thing. You see, up here is factor 1, factor 2. Every class gets 2 factors they can have. If you are a human, humans can pick up a third factor from any list that is not on their normal classes list. So they can pick up a total of 3. So that makes humans to be very versatile and very good at doing multiple different things. We'll get to factors a little later. Factors are kind of, actually I can do it now. Factors are essentially just options you get when you first choose your class for little bonus features that you can get because you are this class. So essentially they're kind of like features, but they're like specialized features. Here's where you put all your features and traits in this big old rectangle here. Your background in this game is also going to give you 2 features. Currently they don't do a lot. Most of the background features are. Most of the backgrounds in this game are currently based off of the D&D ones, so they're like mostly passive features is what they have. Here we have our character portrait and height, weight, hair color, eye color, just to keep it all, because I never really liked that second page in D&D because you rarely ever does anyone use it. Up at top we got character name, it's character name, your class and level. There's no multi-classing in this, at least yet. Then is your race, then your background, your player name, alignment, character size, which character size instead of D&D's tiny, small, medium, large, it's just numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. So most character sizes are going to be 3, but there's some that are 2, some that are 4. There's even one race in here that is a character size of 1. They're a pretty fun race. Proficiency bonus, which this scales up the exact same as D&D, so it's still going to be like a +2. Your hit point maximum would go here. Your dodge. So I can talk about your dodge. So the armor you are wearing is not going to affect your dodge. Your dodge is your ability to duck out of the way of an attack that is coming towards you and to have it miss you. So your dodge in this is going to be 10 plus your pride hope, and you could possibly get other features that can help to improve that. One of the fighter factors allows you to increase your dodge. There's a few other factors that can increase your dodge. Your defense is a new stat entirely to this. Your defense is determined by the armor you are wearing. The armor you are wearing will have a defense score with the base armor in the game that goes up to 8. And whenever you take damage, so if you get hit, something goes past your dodge and it hits you, you will reduce the damage you take from most damage sources by your defense score. So say if you have a defense of 5 because you're wearing like a chain shirt or something. I don't think it's actually 5. I think chain shirt's 3. There's something in there with 5. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Saying you have a defense of 5 and you get hit by an attack that does 11 damage to you, and it's slashing damage, so your defense applies to that. So you would instead take 6 damage, and your armor would take that 5 that it reduced, which goes into your armor durability. Your armor durability is entirely dependent on the armor set that it is. Magic armor is unaffected by this. But when your armor durability hits 0 for your specific armor set, that armor becomes broken, and it loses its defense bonus until it becomes repaired. Which repairing, not quite a system in yet because our playtest, we've had only one playtest. I've not gotten to playtests far enough to have to need this yet because armors are pretty durable. They can take a few hits before they need repairing. Your movement, instead of like increments of 5 feet like it is in D&D, your movement in this system is just by number of spaces. So you can be vague on the spaces, on the size of the spaces. They don't have to be specific. It's just number of spaces. Most characters get 6, some get 5, some get 4, some get 7. One race gets 8. Here we got current hit points, temporary hit points, works same as D&D, hit dice same, death saves same. Here's another new thing to this system: stamina max and stamina current. So your stamina max is entirely determined by your class, but not even just your class level, by your level. It is listed in the stamina section of my current thing I have with my friends. As a level 1, you will have 10 stamina. Every single action you take during combat costs stamina. Your stamina only regenerates when you take an action to regenerate some stamina. So you want to be careful. So it's not like you have this much stamina for this much you can do each turn. It is, this is your maximum stamina. Be careful, and you don't want that to hit. You typically do not want it to hit 0, because if you hit 0, you become tired. If you're already tired and you hit 0 again, you become exhausted, and then you become worn out, then exhausted, and it just gets worse and worse as you go down. If you hit 0 after hitting all 3 of those stages, you instantly pass out. So you need to be careful with stamina and try to keep it up. But most things don't take a lot of stamina to do. Like the attack action takes 2 stamina. So as a level 1 character, you can attack 5 times, and that would hit 0. Or you would want to probably attack a few times, attack 2 or 3 times, then take a deep breath to get your stamina up again, and then go back to attacking. It's not like you can go infinite, because on your turns in combat, you only have 2 actions. So you have these 2 actions. You can, if you want to play it safe, you can do attack action and then deep breath, and then attack action and then deep breath, just to constantly have your stamina be up. Different actions you take cost different amounts of stamina. Most of them cost 1 or 2. There's one or 2 of them that cost like 3 stamina. But I can also talk about this next. With spellcasting is very different with this. It's called your jurisdiction, like I was saying earlier, with your jurisdictions of your magic. Actually, I don't know if I was saying it earlier. I was not saying it earlier. I was kind of saying it earlier. With your jurisdictions of your magic, it's different. So there is no spell slots like there are in D&D. Instead, depending on the tier of the spell you are trying to cast, will depend on how much stamina it costs to cast that spell. So we can go ahead and hop into... I don't need this page anymore. I'm going to go ahead and hop into this page. This is our current spellcasting page, which we have our primary jurisdiction and secondary jurisdiction. So there's a list of primary jurisdictions you get to choose from when you choose a spellcasting class. When you hit 5th level, which we have not gotten to yet, so I've not really worked it out too much, there is a secondary jurisdiction, which is weirder magic. Every single jurisdiction has its own unique little gimmick that happens. We can see here the stamina cost for each of the spells. So tier 0s cost 1, tier 1s cost 5 stamina, tier 2 costs 10, tier 3 costs 15, tier 4 costs 20, tier 5 costs 25. Now, that is pretty dang expensive. You will have that much stamina by the time you get tier 5 spells, but you barely have that much stamina. By the time you hit level 20, your max stamina is 50. So you can cast 2 of these and hit 0. But your deep breath also gets better as you go on. So here we got Arcane Focus. This is an optional feature for spellcasters to pick up an Arcane Focus or to increase their dodge. Arcane Focuses will essentially give you like a mana pool, which you can expend mana instead of stamina. But mana does not recharge. Your mana will only recharge when you take a long rest. And at the moment, the plan is to have that only recharge half of your maximum mana on a long rest. So kind of to be careful, because you don't have to use it. You can use some mana and some stamina when you cast a spell, just to be safe. Here's where you can put down your primary jurisdiction's gimmick. Then, like I was saying earlier, you can choose whatever stat you want for your spell casting. So that's your magic stat, your spell save DC, your spell attack modifier. These work just the same as D&D. Mana sickness level. This is going to be a thing that's not fully implemented yet, because I've not fully worked out how I want it to work yet, but it's going to be a thing where if your mana hits 0 and you when your mana hits 0 from casting a spell, when your mana hits 0, you're going to enter a level of mana sickness, which can cause different effects. So this is essentially a way to keep track of what level of mana sickness you are on. Down here is our secondary jurisdictions, which only have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They only have 3 tiers, but they're a little bit stranger with their gimmicks and just like weird magic. But also, this is where your stronger magic is coming from. So, so here we can see we have the spell's name, the description of the spell. We have the spell's casting time, which is going to be like an action. Some of them are 2 actions, a minute, an hour, reaction for like 1 or 2 of them. Then there's the spell's range and spaces. Same as D&D, vocal, somatic material, duration of the spell, and then does it require concentration, or can you use it as a ritual? So it is still like this. The whole point of this system is to be similar to D&D 5e, so that it's easier to learn. If you already know D&D 5e, you can hop onto this pretty easily. Also because, I mean, that's what I know the best. As much as I wanted to when I was thinking about making this system, make it a D6 system and you use a whole bunch of D6s, I figure it's just easier for others to learn if it's something if it's based off something they already know. I need some water. Luckily, that's the end of this. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because this is a project I've been working on the past 2 months with my friends. More playtesting is to come soon, so nothing here really is final. This is all kind of just like early on in the process, give people a look at this, and I want to hear your opinions on certain things, or even questions on certain things. Heck, random people might have questions for something that I didn't even think about, or probably would never even think about during this whole process. But yes, do let me know if you have any questions about this stuff, because when I get onto a passion project, I get onto a passion project, and I just keep working on it. And so I need to share things early on, otherwise I'm gonna have problems. But yeah, with that, thank you all for watching. If you want to see more updates on this in the future as this keeps getting updated, go ahead and hit a subscribe, because I definitely do plan to put more updates on this and some other works of mine and my friends as we're working on stuff. And like the video to try to see if you can get it to share around YouTube and show more people this, to get more opinions on this. Because I'm a one-man team making all this stuff right now, with just my friends being the playtesters. And I already have another full-time job, so this is really just like while I'm doing this is just during my free time I'm working on this stuff. And sometimes it wears me down. So definitely spread some word out there and give me opinions, because it's hard for me to think of how other people would think about stuff like this. But yeah, thank you for watching. Gosh, I'm still really bad at outros, aren't I? Yeah, that's never gonna change.